In accordance with Council Resolution Number B14550, please be advised that all cellular telephones, pagers, beepers, and other devices of this nature must be deactivated or silenced throughout the council meeting. Is there any resolutions, motions, or other items from the floor this morning? Seeing none. Under the consent agenda, Item 1, approval of minutes, the regular council meeting of November 7, 2019. Item 2 is approval of alcoholic beverage permit applications. We have none. Item 3 is approval of bingo and public gathering applications. We have none. Item 4 is correspondence, reports from the mayor, CAO, or department heads. Item 4A, at the request of the administration, a report from Mayor Zahn.
Mayor Zahn.
Thank you, Council President. I have some good news on some numbers on sales tax. As we know, sales tax has been on the rise throughout the city of Kenner with some of the things that we've been doing. But sales tax is up 8.5% for this August of 2019 compared to August of 2018. What's really good news is some of the things that we hear about the report. Some of the things that we hear about the Esplanade Mall, the numbers I'm going to give here on the Esplanade Mall shows that the mall is a sales tax generator that is generating some sales tax for us. The Recreation Department moved into the Esplanade Mall with the gymnastics program in June. It became full-time at Recreation in July. The August sales tax collected were up 162% over August of 2018. So 162% this August compared to August of last year. And I got to say, I think that's somewhat of the traffic flow that's going in and out of there because of what we're doing with our gymnastics program and the Recreation Department, plus things like with events that we've had at the mall. The city's share from the mall increased by $154,000 in just 1 month. Those numbers have not been up in over 2 years. So if you do hear some criticism on the mall, I understand that the mall is not what it could be, but if we did not have the mall for what it's doing, we'd have a bigger problem. That leads into my next thing. We just cut the 100th ribbon in the city of Kenner in the last almost 3 years. This past week, we did about 3 ribbon cuttings. We have more planned after Thanksgiving. These things are popping up almost every week. If not every week, we're taking next week off because it's the week of Thanksgiving, not doing ribbon cuttings. But it shows the growth in the city of Kenner, especially 100 ribbon cuttings in that short period of time. Code sweeps, I want to thank the code department for doing what they have done. Again, in District 1, they went to the 2600 block to 2700 blocks of Gadsden, Phoenix, and Panama. Total violations at 80, warning violations at 33, and court summons were 1. So again, thanks to James Mohammed, Molly McGinnis, and all the men and ladies of the code department for what they do, keeping our city clean. This was a little bit of a discussion this past weekend. We had an airport traffic meeting last Thursday. That was absolutely to get the word out that we are doing what we need to do for traffic control in the city of Kenner, dealing with the airport. And that meeting was preliminary to bring everyone together. I know you saw it on Facebook. It was an administrative meeting that we put together with everyone, Jefferson Parish, the state, DOTD, the contractor, the aviation board. Anyone dealing with airport traffic was there. Also, the Kenner Police Department, one of our council people were there because there's an issue that's impacting District 2 that we needed to get out there and get that cleared up. These are things that are going to be really, really pressing over the next couple of weeks. Councilman Impostata from Jefferson Parish, former Parish Councilman Mark Spears, Councilman-elect Byron Lee, will be very instrumental in getting the money. I know it's a lot. And they'll be very instrumental in getting the money that we need for these projects and these road repairs in the city of Kenner. Kenner streets need to be repaired to get some of this done. Kenner streets need to be changed to help our airport traffic. I would ask all of you all, because that meeting that we held was obviously administrative, but I'm going to ask all of you all, if you had, and you should have gotten a date by now, if you're free on December 18th, the West Bank Council meeting, Jefferson Parish, they're having their council meeting. That's when Dominic, and hopefully we have a District 3 councilman representing the parish at that time. If not, Dominic will take the lead on this, Impostata, as Jefferson Parish District 4 councilman, along with the rest of the council, but I know we need to go, along with the chief of police, along with you guys, to ask for this money that is coming through some bond money and other monies that they have that's available to the city of Kenner throughout Jefferson Parish also. But I think it's important for each and every council person on the parish council to see me, Chief Glazer, each and every council member there saying, guys, this is what we need. This is when I need the council. This is when the chief and Chief was also in the airport traffic meeting. This is when the chief and I need you all to step in as a legislative branch and ask for that money. Ask for the money that will make a difference for future meetings that I hold where the council will be present to make sure that you all are there to ask for what we need to get. That's what we need to do at this point. So we don't need to discuss this, about who was invited, who was not invited to the meeting. This is when it starts, guys. After December 18th, in January is when we start dealing with what we know we'll have in funding. That's where I need the support of the council. That's where the chief of police needs the support of the council. I also want to thank Chief Glazer for the work with the Kenner Police Department. As always, they have been out there, probably more than the administration, on the road, out there on the road, working with DOTD. If you hear pushback from some constituents, the Kenner Police Department has worked very close with the DOTD to make sure the striping was changed, the lights were coordinated the right way, all that first week. I know Chief Glazer keeps his Kenner Police out there on details, some detail money we got from the parish council. I'm also getting some detail money from the aviation board. That will be in place for when this money does run out. Those are the types of things we need to think that when we see our Kenner Police, that they're making sure that that's being done, and I appreciate that. So Chief Glazer and I would request that you all make that December 18th meeting, and in January we'll start the meeting with 3 of you all at a time. I will invite Councilman Brennan and Carroll to the next one for sure. I know Councilman Wilmot has asked to be the third council person at that meeting, and then we'll start alternating from that point, and then we'll alternate back to Councilman Seguin, working him in some kind of way. Any questions on that? Anything anybody needs to air out on the traffic issue? This is to put Kenner first, guys. If Kenner is impacted with traffic, the rest of the region is impacted with traffic. Councilman Seguin brought up a very good point. If there's an accident on the way in or out of the airport shuts down because we only have one way in, one way out. So that's where we need our detail money for our police department. That's where we need the money from the parish council to alleviate the traffic on other roads. I can't be more emphatic. This is an all of us together thing. This is not just one of us by ourselves. But the meetings will come in January where we'll all work on it together after we get the money from the parish council. I have Tamithia up here to come up. Sorry, they just handed me something. Tamithia is going to come up and talk about some grant money that was awarded. Tamithia Shaw, I'm sorry. But they throw something to me, it throws me off. And I'll come back and make one more announcement on what's going on with food bank things throughout the city of Kenner between now and Christmas. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. On behalf of Mayor Benson, I'm pleased to announce that the City of Kenner, along with its partners, Jefferson Parish and St. Charles Parish, which is part of the Jefferson Home Consortium, have been awarded a $3.3 million grant. Of this $3.3 million, the City of Kenner will be receiving $1 million. What this grant is for is to eradicate lead-based paint in homes older than 1978 and where children under 6 are present. It's been determined that one of the environmental hazards to children in America, the number one environmental hazard to children in America is lead poisoning. The health effects of lead poisoning are devastating and irreversible. Lead poisoning can lead to a reduction in IQ, reading and learning disabilities, decreased attention span, hyperactivity, and aggressive behavior. So what the City of Kenner is going to be doing with this funding is we already have a layer from our GIS of all of the homes that are pre-1978. We're going to be working with the Jefferson Community Action Programs, which is in charge of our early Head Start, to get with those parents to see where they're living at and identify those homes that we can do remediation. For this award, it's being proposed throughout the region to remediate 150 homes. If we are successful, we've been told that we can apply for more money next year. So moving forward, so you'll be seeing contracts coming through that we're going to be getting for, just particularly for this award. And we're working on a work plan now that's going to address how we're going to implement, in which that plan has to be approved by HUD also. They're proposing to start this award in January of 2020. It's going to be starting very soon. With this award, it was $324 million that was awarded by HUD for approximately 70 jurisdictions. There were only 2 awards in the state of Louisiana. It was the state of Louisiana through their LHC Corporation that received 1 award, and the city of Kenner and its partners received the other award. So I want to thank the mayor and the administration for giving me the permission to go ahead and apply for this award. And we're ready to move forward to do this for our citizens as we move forward. So any questions?
Councilman Wilmot?
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to thank you. That's awesome. We like hearing stuff like that, especially it improves the quality of life in Kenner. So we appreciate you going after those dollars.
It definitely improved the housing stock. One of the things that's going to be requirements for the award is once we remediate it, we'll put it on a registry. So when those are moving into City of Kenner, they'll know which homes have been remediated and are lead-free for those people who are under, those children who have children under the age of 6.
Thank you for all your hard work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilmember.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw.
And then one last thing, we have a few things going on with some things for our food bank that will benefit our food bank. Our Deputy CEO, Lee Roussel, has been working very closely with Jefferson Parish to make sure that the Kenner Food Bank gets their share at the annual Sipping with Santa. I know it will happen before we get back on that next Thursday for our council meeting. So she's here to give a little short report on what's happening with Sipping with Santa for this year. Lee?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, so the Chateau Golf and Country Club is again having their annual Sipping with Santa event. It's a fun event. I do believe it's either the 5th or 6th year that they've had this, but it's on Tuesday, December 3rd from 6 to 9 p.m. All the proceeds generated from this charitable event go to benefit the Kenner Food Bank and also the Jefferson Council on Aging Senior Meals Program. So we'd like to invite everybody. It's open to the public. The tickets are $35. You can purchase those from Chateau Country Club. Michelle Swanner-Yanni does a really fabulous job with this. There are local vendors that attend, and there's food and beverages. So it's a really fun event, and it's a great benefit for our food bank. So everybody, please attend.
Thank you, Ms. Roussel. Thank you, Mayor Zahn.
Item 5 is acceptance, rejection of bids requiring an expenditure of less than $5,000. We have none. Item 6 is change orders requiring an expenditure of less than $5,000. We have none. Item 7 is acceptance of committee findings for final passage. We have none. Item 8 is re-subdivision ordinances for final passage. Item 8A is summary ordinance number 12,628. An ordinance approving the plan of re-subdivision of lots 15A, 18, 19, 20, and 21, square 26, and lot 12A3, plot 12, into lot 12A4, plot 12, Crestview Office and Industrial Park, which lots are owned by BLD Investments, LLC.
Motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Wilmot. Councilmembers, please vote.
Motion passes 5-0. Under the public appearance agenda, we have item 9, public hearings for final passage. Item 9A is a public hearing regarding Resolution B 17044, a resolution calling a public hearing to determine whether the structures located at 1605 and 1607 31st Street, Kenner, Louisiana, shall be abated by repair, rehabilitation, demolition, or removal.
Motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Brennan to open public hearing. Councilmembers, please vote.
Motion passes 5-0 to open your hearing.
Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the council?
I believe,
Presentation?
yes,
Yes.
the Code Enforcement Department has a presentation this morning.
Good morning. The structure in question is a pile-supported structure bearing a municipal address of 1605, 1607 31st Street. The property is owned by Louis King Kelly. In March of this year, I visited the property and I found it to be very unsafe and dangerous. As recently as Sunday, I was there with the fire department. They were burning, there was a homeless man burning trash in a bathtub. On June of 2019, a notice was sent by certified mail to the owners advising them of the building violation. Certified notice was unclaimed, and a curator was appointed by the City of Kenner. The City of Kenner also contacted an engineer, and it is noted by the report of the engineer retained by the City of Kenner, who gave the following reasons why the structure should be torn down. It's a grade pile supported structure. The utilities are disconnected. There's large amounts of debris throughout the property. Sections of the exterior siding are missing. Portions of the floor are completely rotten. Based on a report of the engineer, the structure is a serious public hazard, and we recommend the city take the necessary steps to declare this a public nuisance and brought up by to the current codes. The City of Kenner did appoint a curator. It's Mr. Keith Conley, and he is here to address the council.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me here today, Mayor, Council, Administration. On August 2nd, I was appointed by the administration to be a curator for this property, using resources such as the Internet, JeffNet, and the Assessor's Office, as well as information obtained from the Code Department and the Legal Department. Notices were sent by first class and certified mail to all interested parties of this property. On October 10th, 2019, I went to the property. I met a gentleman who advised me he was the owner, and he was a resident. I gave him all the information as to public hearings. It was set, I believe, the last meeting. It was continued. He did not show up at any meeting. Hand wrote the information for contact information for the Code Department and the administration. From the best of my knowledge, he has not reached out. I did run an advertisement and legal notices section of the Advocate. Ran for 3 days, November 7th, 8th, and 9th. I got no responses from that. So as of today, I feel that, all due diligence has been exerted by the curator as well as the administration, and I feel that proper notice was given to this gentleman, Mr. Samuel Kelly. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Conley. Is there anyone in the audience, or does anyone have any questions for Mr. Conley? No. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on this issue? Seeing none. Motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Brennan to close the hearing. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 5-0.
Motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Brennan to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 5-0. Item 9B is a public hearing regarding Resolution B 17045, a resolution calling a public hearing to determine whether the structures located at 3033 Lexington Street in Kenner, Louisiana shall be abated by repair, rehabilitation, demolition, or removal.
Motion by Councilmember Wilmot, seconded by Councilmember Seguin to open public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 5-0. Presentation will be given by the Code Enforcement Department as well.
The structure in question is a pile-supported structure. It's bearing the address of 3033 Lexington. The property is owned by Randy and Lily Hood. On March of this year, I visited a property located at 3033 Lexington and found it to be very unsafe and dangerous under the building codes of the City of Kenner. On March the 26th, a notice was sent certified mail to the property owner advising them of the building violations. Certified notice was unclaimed. The City of Kenner also contacted an engineer, and it was noted by the report of the engineer retained by the City of Kenner that the utilities were still connected to one unit, soffit and fascia and damage to the side of the structure. It was in immediate danger of collapsing. There seems to be a major water leak at the rear of the property. The area was flooded with water. There's extensive roof damage on the southern and western side of the structure. Parts of the shingles are missing, decking is missing. Sections of the western wall are buckling due to compromise of the roof and structure. Based on our visual observations of the western section of the structure and the platform entrance to the second floor, Unit is structurally compromised and recommend that immediate danger, it's in immediate danger of collapse. This structure really hit me kind of hard in the heart because the lady lives there. Her name's Miss Lily Hood. Me and Councilman Carroll have been to her house probably 3 or 4 times to have meetings with Miss Hood. I believe she's here today. I've been in constant contact with Ms. Shaw trying to find her alternative living. This has been going on for 3 years. We cannot let this go on any further. She's going to either get hurt on in his property or somebody fighting a fire there is going to get hurt. It's in immediate danger of collapse, as you can see. I want to thank Tamithia Shaw for going the extra mile and helping me find her some alternative living. There is a curator here for this property. He is Mr. Keith Conley, and I think he's going to address the council now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mohammed. Mr. Conley?
Thank you. Additionally, I was assigned a curator for this property on August 7th, 2019, using resources of the internet, JeffNet, as well as abstracts obtained from the city's legal department and code enforcement. Notices were mailed out first class and certified. On October 10th, I did go to the property also. I saw it was evident there was a resident that was living there. However, nobody answered the phone, answered the door. I did talk to some neighbors, leave my cards, and 2 days ago, I did get a phone call from a Miss Lillian Hood, who is identified as one of the owners. Gave her this information, and she advised a family member would be here today to address the council, and I have met that family member who's here today. I did also have a notice run in the Advocate, the legal section for the city of Kenner. It also ran for 3 days, November 7th, 8th, and 9th, but we did get a response. So I believe that the city and myself, the curator, has exerted all due diligence and had an owner present here today for this council here, for this public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Conley.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the council? No. Okay. Well, motion by council member, does anyone have any questions? Councilmember Wilmot?
I just wanted to ask, I understand that Ms. Hood is in the audience. Does she want to address us?
Yes, sir. She's here. She advised me she does not want to address the council, but she is present in the chambers right now.
Okay. And again, I guess, Mr. Mohammed, getting back to the issue at hand, it is in your best opinion that this house needs to be torn down?
Councilman Wilmot, this house should have been torn down 3 years ago. We've been trying to work with Ms. Hood. We recently met with her son, who's in the military, who came in. We've done everything in our power to try to work with Ms. Hood and her son. And again, thanks to Ms. Shaw for finding some an alternative place for her to live. The house is in horrible condition. I'm sure when it's raining outside, it's raining in the house. It's beyond repair.
So the interior is deplorable, I would take it.
I can only get in 4 units. I believe it's a 5-unit house, 5 units there. I can only get in 4 of the 5. The 4 units that I went in are in deplorable condition. Yes, sir. Somebody's paying an expensive water bill because the water's constantly running. There's there.
And Councilman Carroll had gone to this unit with you, is that correct?
Councilman Carroll and me have met there. Councilman Carroll and I have met there 3 times. It was always on a Sunday. We would meet there early in the Sunday morning and try to talk about what we were going to do there. We tend to have too big of a heart here in the city of Kenner and try to work with people above and beyond. And this is one of those cases where we went above and beyond to try to work with her. So Councilman Carroll's on board. There's nothing else we can do. At this point in time, we're going to be responsible.
Okay.
And I would, at this time, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask Ms. Shaw to come up and speak to you, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
That was my next question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mohammed. Mr. Mohammed reached out to my department because he was concerned that that the homeowner wouldn't have anywhere to go.
Right.
And looking at her income and her asset, her home is her asset. So what we're doing is we reached out to the Kenner Housing Authority. We previously had an agreement with them to give us vouchers that will allow her to choose where she wants to live. So we met, I did, along with Ms. Roussel, we met with the Housing Authority and their attorney on Wednesday. We're perfecting an agreement that will allow us to get vouchers because when the demolition happens, she'll be effectively homeless. During that time, we do have a duplex that we can put her in until we can get the voucher from the Kenner Housing Authority, and that way she'll be able to choose. With that voucher, we're hoping that she doesn't have to pay anything. The voucher will pay for somewhere for her to live.
Does she understand the situation
I
at
did
hand?
meet with her this morning to let her know that we understand, what she's going through. She was concerned because she has a lot of stuff that has to be moved out. But we did let her know that we're working to make sure that once the house does become demolished, that we're going to help to get her housed again, because that's what we do when someone is homeless.
Is she the sole resident on his property?
That I know of, yes.
Is there any other owners to this property?
I'm not aware of any other owners.
Mr. Muhammad, are you aware of any other owners?
She has a son that's active military. And again, we met with him, and he was all on board. He understood the dangers of his mother going up and down those stairs. They're the only owners. This is a very large chunk of property. We discussed her maybe putting it for sale, and after it's demoed, and maybe taking those proceeds and building a house on a section of that property, a new house, something smaller, something that, because she doesn't need anything that big. And but we put a lot of time in this. This should have happened 3 years ago, and I can assure you the Code Enforcement Department's been working with Ms. Hood. It's time to take action, because if something was to happen to her, especially over the holidays coming, I think we'd all feel pretty bad. I mean, we want to give her till after the holidays to move forward with this, if that's okay, but we need to move forward today. And Councilman Carroll, who's not here, he did reach out to me yesterday and tell me he was out of town, but he was all on board, and he understood that we needed to take action.
I understand your position, and it's a difficult one, and I appreciate your hard work and Ms. Shaw's as well. This is just, it's a tough situation, but thank you for going the extra mile and doing all that you do. Because this happens, unfortunately, it happens on several occasions every so often, and it's
This
tough.
is the first case that I've actually had somebody who had nowhere else to go or was living in a house. It was very difficult. It's very difficult for me to make this decision because it's going to affect somebody's life for the rest of their life. And unfortunately, I exhausted all resources that I had to try to make something happen. But the property it's too far gone. There's no rehabbing it.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
That's all.
Thank you, Councilman. Excuse me. Motion by Councilmember Wilmot, seconded by Councilmember Segura to close public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 5-0.
Motion by Councilmember Wilmot, seconded by Councilmember Segura to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 5-0. Item 9C is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 12,629. An ordinance approving a general advertising sign in a heavy industrial zoning district for the Lamar Advertising on Lot 37A, Square 92, Bainbridge Office and Industrial Park.
Motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Hayes to open public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 5-0. Madam Chairman, we have a presentation by the Planning Department.
We do. Thank you. There we go. I'm hoping that it comes up. I'm going to go ahead and begin in the meantime. The property owner for this property is Mr. Craig Sherman, 4108 Taft Park, Metairie, Louisiana, 7002. The applicant is Lamar Advertising, 629 South Claiborne Avenue, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70113. Oh, there we go. The property, Lot 37A, fronts Tifton Street and is generally bound by Marietta Street to the east, 24th Street to the north, and the Louis Armstrong Airport to the south. The structure on the property currently operates as a business, an electronics store. On September 16th, 2019, at 2300 Tifton, the applicant held an early neighborhood meeting. 11 invitations were sent out. No one attended. Lot 37A is zoned heavy industrial. All the surrounding properties are also zoned heavy industrial, and all the uses are in accordance with those that are prescribed in the heavy industrial district. The proposal includes the placement of a double-faced 420-foot, square foot, 55-foot high electronic general advertising sign. The sign will be mounted on a monopole foundation located towards the front of Lot 37A and set back approximately 35 feet from Tifton Street. In addition, the applicant submitted Form 7460-1 to the FAA, providing notice of proposed construction in a flight path area, and received a letter of no hazard to air navigation from the FAA. General advertising signs are permitted in the city of Kenner in heavy industrial zoning districts, provided that certain criteria are met with council approval. This billboard, there are no general advertising signs within 1,000 feet of this proposed sign. The proposed sign is not within 500 feet of any public park or playground of more than 1 acre, or any residential district or a residential structure. The billboard will not obstruct any traffic signs or obstruct the views of vehicles using Tifton Street. And as I said, it is permitted in a heavy industrial district. The Planning Commission did recommend approval for this application. That concludes the Planning Department's presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Dufour. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the council? Please approach and state your, if you can go over there. Mr., if you can, yes. If you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Mubashir Maqbool, 5752 Bel Air Drive. I am in receipt of the original consent by Mr. Craig Sherman, which I would like to pass these copies to the council. He initially gave me the consent on November 5th, 2018 to go proceed with the billboard. I engaged the surveyor, and the surveyor did the survey, and I got the FAA letter. I was actually, I misunderstood that I have to have FAA no hazard letter before I can apply for the billboard permit. That I duly applied as soon as the surveyor gave me the survey in February of 2019. Finally got, after almost 5 months wait, FAA no hazard letter in June of 2019. I duly applied after the receipt of the FAA letter to the planning, Kenner Planning, and that's when Mr. Sherman certainly came up and said, oh, by the way, I never gave the consent for a billboard, whereas this is his original wet signature, which you guys have the copies. He actually violated the Louisiana law, where he gave me the intent to lease. I did all the homework, duly applied with the Kenner Planning on June of 2019. That's when he came and said, oh, by the way, I gave the lease to Lamar, which I'm intending to fight into the court, that once you give an intent to lease, it's a binding contract, it's a debt, it's an alliance. So I would request the council to please defer it till my, then I subsequently, once he refused to give me the lease, I duly applied for 2300 Augusta Street. I got all the paperwork, and that application is pending with the Planning Department of Kenner. Council, you got to understand that, airport access road is not like the previous access road, which was few miles long. This is less than half a mile access we have for addressing the audience coming in and out of the new terminal. So it is not, and even in the current access road, the existing one which takes you to the old terminal, you can see there are variances issued where the billboards, all the billboards there are not within, within the 1,000 feet threshold of each other. So I would honestly request you to please defer this matter. Don't approve it now, because this man did me in. I mean, you have the paper right in front of you, sir. I mean, it's not like I fabricated anything.
Councilmember Hayes.
I'm waiting for the Planning Department.
Planning, do you have a response?
So, want me to go ahead? Okay, I'll defer. Mr. Mubashir did in fact submit an application for the property. Shortly after that, Lamar Advertising submitted a zoning verification for the same property to place a billboard. I responded to Lamar that we had an existing application, and therefore we would, the billboard, you could not submit an application. They responded that they had a lease with the property owner and that they had a legal right to submit the application. At that point, I said, well, the planning department is not going to get involved in a private property dispute, so, y'all should work it out. And that's what I told Mr. Mubashir, and that's what I told Lamar. And the property owner came in, and I told him the exact same thing. I said, we're not going to get involved with a private dispute. The property owner should come back with whoever they say has the legal right to apply for the billboard on their property. He sent a letter, notarized, stating that Lamar did have a right with the lease. And as far as I'm aware, Mr. Mubashir had no lease with the property owner. The only document that he submitted was the city standard statement of ownership, which, I will defer to the legal department in terms to the legal ramifications of that, but that, from the planning department's purposes, that document only indicates who an applicant is and who a property owner is.
And then based on the information that we have, based on the notarized statement, the owner has stated that it is Lamar who the owner has the lease with. And so if there is any dispute between the owner and anyone else, then that is a civil matter between them. The city can only act on what the owner says is the right, who has the right to put, who has the lease for the sign, and that's where the city's position is.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Hayes. Councilman Segur?
Ma'am, can I ask the attorney, city attorney, are you in receipt of the letter from my attorney, Mr. Eric Pearson, about the dispute?
We may or may not be. I don't have it in front of me at the moment, but if there is a dispute, it is between you and the property owner. Does not involve the city of Kenner.
Yeah, but we requested you, sir, to defer this case till the outcome of the court ruling.
Unless you get a court order telling us.
Yes, we are in a process, sir.
I do not have a court order stopping us from moving forward. We rely on and we act on the property owner's statement of who has the right to move, and that is where we are right now.
Thank you, Councilman Segur.
Well, yeah, this is kind of where I'm trying to get an understanding. Who made this application? Wait, Wendell?
Which one?
The one that's
This
before
one that in front of you, Lamar Advertising.
Lamar Advertising.
Correct.
And you have documentation from the owner of the property that Lamar has their permission to make this?
I have a notarized letter and a formal lease between Lamar and the property owner.
Okay. And this gentleman how does he have input on this property?
Well, as the city attorney, Mr. Rapier, noted, the dispute is outside of the city of Kenner. It's between Mr. Mubashir, Lamar, and the property owner. So, the planning department's position was the property owner needs to tell us who has the legal right to use the property for a billboard.
Okay.
The property owner came and gave us a notarized letter, and Lamar provided the lease that they had signed with the property owner.
Okay. Now,
So,
I've got that far. I'm just trying to understand what this gentleman's purpose of this property is. He also leased the property? Is that what it is?
I'm not aware that he has any signed lease.
Oh, no, signed, but the property itself. It's owned by,
It's owned by Mr. Sherman, who I believe is in the audience.
all right, well, okay, well, then, that's what I'm trying to decide. I don't understand this gentleman's right to come and ask for something on this property. What is his involvement on the property? the owner of the property here?
Yes.
Well, either you or, is that your attorney? Represent, well, whoever from the owner can come up and maybe answer that question for me. Yes. well,
Yes.
I'm-
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, please address.
Okay, my question is, as you're representing, your name and,
My name is Bob Lano. I'm with Lamar Advertising, 629 South Claiborne, New Orleans, Louisiana.
okay. And this is,
Mr. Craig Sherman?
My name is Craig Sherman, and I'm an owner of the property.
thank you. And this property, Mr. Sherman, what is it? Is it just a vacant lot, or,
It's a warehouse with
Where-
2 tenants, and this is just a extra space along the parking area.
okay. It's a warehouse. Do you lease that warehouse out?
I do.
And who's that leased to?
It's leased to an automobile repairman, and the front unit is released to a marine service company.
And is your lease just for the building or the lot too? The open area lot?
No, it's the building,
Okay, so then you still have the absolute control over the open area land?
definitely.
Okay, so with that said, then you are conveying to Lamar a lease to put up a sign
Yes.
if this all gets approved. And I'm trying to still understand
Let
this,
me give you a
gentleman.
little bit of background.
Please.
Several months ago, it's probably about a year, I was approached by Mr. Mowbray to put a sign on the property. It sounded good. He went through some effort. He had a meeting, but he just asked me to sign a paper saying that I was the owner of the property, and I agreed to that. I am the owner. Other than that, he said he would be working on it. Well, 7 months went by. I didn't see any notice, call, nothing. But in my brain, I said, well, this sounds like a good idea. So I approached several other advertising companies, and one refused, and Mr. Lamar did not. They were interested in the property. I began the negotiations with him and signed the lease, and then all of a sudden, this happened.
Okay, so as I appreciate
I gave him
then
no
that you
authorization,
had
no
a
sign, no
communication
lease.
with this gentleman who had an interest to put a sign on your property.
Correct.
And through that conversation, you just signed this form statement of ownership, no lease to him.
Not a lease at all.
Okay,
Not a lease at
but then later on, you entered into a lease.
I never saw a lease. There was no discussion. It was just, I'll go work on it. I said, fine.
Okay, and then later on, you did sign a lease with Lamar.
Correct.
So presently, that's what you have. Okay, Mr. Rapier, question. If we approve this tonight, and then whatever court case this gentleman has to try to supersede this process that I'm not clear is even in his right to do, because if he only has a statement of ownership and no lease, and the applicant is the owner and given Lamar a lease, that's what we're approving. What court action is he trying to attempt that?
Councilman Segura, I don't represent him, so I have
Okay,
absolutely no idea.
I know you don't represent him, your
I'm
legal.
not going to hazard a guess on that.
Okay.
I'm not going to hazard a guess of what his lawyer might have filed. At the present time, we have an application for a billboard through the owner based on Lamar's lease with the owner, and the owner stating publicly that the gentleman that is objecting has no right to the property.
Okay, then
So from the city of Kenner's perspective, as I said a few minutes ago, unless we had a court order stopping us, there is no reason for the city of Kenner not to move forward.
okay, that's what I wanted to clear up, and I agree, so thank you. Thank y'all, gentlemen, y'all cleared up my question.
Thank you, Councilman Segura. Mayor Zahn?
Mr. Dufault, I know the answer to this question, but just for it to be on the record, what is the district councilman's position what's before the council? This is in District 1, he's absent.
Yeah, so in my conversation with the Councilman Carroll, he has no objection as long as the billboard meets the requirements, the 1,000 foot from any other existing billboard, et cetera. He's never expressed any negative comments about this particular, the Lamar application. And my understanding is he supports it.
So I think that would be the answer to this council. If Councilman Carroll was here, being a District 1 issue, I think that the council has the answer. Just keep that in mind.
Thank you, Mayor Zahn.
just wanted to go on record as well, stating that we did speak with Councilman Carroll, and he was in favor of our application.
Thank you. Councilman Hayes.
I move that we proceed. I would like to add some comment.
Actually, sir, there's a motion to proceed.
Close your hearing, please.
Yes. Motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Hayes to close public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 5-0 to close the public hearing.
Motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Hayes to approve. Oh, Councilman Segura?
Again, just quickly to, as we've heard, there's a conflict apparently of who has the right to lease it out, and the owner has clearly said he intends to lease it and has a lease with Lamar. They're the ones that made the application, and we have on record now that Councilman Carroll is unfortunately not here, but is in favor of it, so I see no need to not move on and move forward.
Thank you, Councilman Segura. Motion by Councilman McKinney, seconded by, I'm sorry. Oh, Councilman Wilmot, I apologize.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to chime in again on the legal aspect of it. I wanted legal to clarify. In this instance, we can move forward on it without hesitation, even though these comments were made. You feel comfortable with that?
Councilman Wilmot, you're fully within your rights to move forward.
Thank you, sir. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Wilmot. Motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Hayes to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 5-0. Item 10 is opening of bids. We have none. Item 11 is reclassification of zoning for final passage. We have none. Item 12 is other ordinances for final passage. We have none. Item 13 is resolutions and motions by council members. Item 13A is a resolution accepting and adopting the System Survey Compliance Questionnaire from the Legislative Auditor of the State of Louisiana.
I just have a question about this. Can you just clarify that this is, if this is a regular thing that we regularly explain what the System Survey and Compliance Questionnaire is?
This is a survey that we get, our compliance questionnaire that we get every year from the legislative auditor for our audits that is done annually. It is reviewed by the legal department, by your compliance department, and by the finance department to make sure all of the answers are correct before we request any signatures. So it has been reviewed by those three departments. It is done annually, and it just needs y'all's adoption by the resolution.
Great, thank you, I appreciate it. Motion by, any other comments? Motion by Councilmember Hayes, seconded by Councilmember Brennan to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 5-0. Item 13B is a resolution authorizing the placement for temporary signs on public property for Dawn Busters Kiwanis Club.
Motion, Councilmember Hayes.
Under fair disclosure, I'm a member of the Dawn Busters Kiwanis Club. It's one of the largest in the nation with over 200 members, and this would allow us to put signs out advertising the world's largest turkey fry. We hope to fry over 1,000 turkeys for this Thanksgiving, between 12 and 14 pounds for $47. If you so inclined to have a hassle-free Thanksgiving dinner, please contact www.dawnbusters.org and order your turkey right away. You can pick them up the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and a happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Again, good cause. We run the Reward for Reading program. We deal with 58 elementary schools in Jefferson Parish, and it really is all about sponsoring children to read. The children that read the most books receive bicycles. So again, good cause for a good community. Please participate. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Hayes. Motion by Councilmember Hayes, seconded by Councilmember McKinney to approve. I also like to say that I'm part of Dawn Busters, and I'm going to be helping with the fried turkeys as well. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 5-0. Item 13C is a resolution waiving the prohibition against a jury trial as provided for in LARS 13:5105. Madam Chairman, I've received a request for a one-meeting deferral. I have a motion by Councilmember Wilmot, seconded by Councilmember Segur, on one-meeting deferral. Any discussion on the deferral? Council members, please vote. Motion passes 4-1. Councilmember Hayes is opposed. Item 14 is items removed from the consent agenda. We have none. Item 15 is acceptance of contracts and similar matters approved by the mayor. Item 15A is summary ordinance number 12,626, an ordinance authorizing the utilization of Jefferson Parish contract number 55-18531 with American Police Equipment to purchase uniforms, athletic apparel, badges, dress uniforms, hats, caps, dress belts, shoes, name tags, and rank insignia on an as-needed basis in an amount not to exceed $397,922.47 for the life of the agreement with the Department of Fire.
Motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember Segur to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 5-0. Item 15B is summary ordinance number 12,627, an ordinance accepting the proposal from NeoGov and authorizing an agreement to provide human resources software for the Kenner Civil Service Department.
Motion by Councilmember Segur, seconded by Councilmember Wilmot to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 5-0. Item 15C is summary ordinance number 12,630, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Gremco Incorporated in the amount of $30,953.33 to purchase an inkjet printer for the traffic division in accordance with telephone bid number T19-6495 for the Department of General Services.
Motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember Hayes to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 5-0. Item 16 is ordinances and resolutions in summary for first reading. Item 16A is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Ellison Builders LLC for improvements to the Council on Aging building in accordance with bid number 19-6510 and an amount not to exceed $241,500. Item 16B is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Casco Industries Incorporated to purchase 2 Tempest battery-positive pressure fans in the amount of $7,390 in accordance with bid number 19-2716 for the Kenner Fire Department. Item 16C is an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from Mako Products Incorporated to provide karate uniforms and equipment on an as-needed basis in accordance with letter bid number 19-1589 and an amount not to exceed $25,000 annually for the Department of Parks and Recreation. Item 16D is an ordinance amending ordinance number 11,646, adopted October 25, 2019, to correct erroneous agreement amount to reflect $30,000 annually for the DRN's Corporation to supply uniforms citywide. Item 16E is an ordinance approving a general advertising sign and an HI, Heavy Industrial Zoning District for Maymar Engineers and Contractors, LLC, doing business as Evergreen Media on Lot 35A, Square 90, Bainbridge Office and Industrial Park. Item 16F is an ordinance adjusting the garbage collection fee to reflect the actual cost of collection. Item 16G is an ordinance authorizing an assessment of a recycling fee. Item 17 is reports from the council and our special committees.
Councilmember Segur.
I'm not sure what Ms. Stacy needs right now, but
Well, I'm just a member of the public. I did want to speak. I just wanted to speak or ask a question on 16F.
not,
Not during, for first readings, it's just read in, and we don't allow public comment on that at this time.
I believe the public has a right to speak. I just have a question.
3 minutes.
Yeah, we could do it during public comment in probably 5 minutes.
Well, this is only, I looked on the city's website, and the ordinance isn't there, that y'all are, I think unless you actually can read it to us. I just looked 5 minutes ago, and the actual ordinance is there in title, but the actual ordinance isn't there. I think it should, unless y'all can, if it exists, you should read it to us so the public can know about it, and if not, remove it from the agenda.
Mr. Rapier, can you answer that question?
Thank you. I don't know why it wasn't on the website for the public to see prior to this, but thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rapier.
Very welcome.
Councilman Segura.
Thank you. Just wanted to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. I know this will be our last meeting before that wonderful occasion, so enjoy yourself. Don't eat too much, but save some for later. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Councilman Segura. Councilman Brennan?
Thank you, Council President. Yes, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I just also wanted to say thank you all for taking time to be with us this morning, and hopefully you enjoyed it and you got something out of it. And thank you, and come back and see us another time if you all would like.
Thank you, Councilman Brennan. I just also want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. And it's the time of year to spend time with family and appreciate the good things in life. So take time to do that next Thursday. And also, thank you to the Bonneville students. I'm happy as an alumni. I'm proud to see, students that are active in the community attending. So thank you very much. I hope you all have a happy Thanksgiving. And also, let's not forget that the Saints are going to be playing on Thanksgiving. So go Saints. Councilman Wilmot.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. I, too, wanted to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving as well, and go Bruins. And the nice young lady next to me would like to make a comment, and I will if you so kind. Go ahead.
I just want to thank y'all for having us, and happy Thanksgiving, and enjoy y'all weekend.
Councilmember Hayes.
My name is Christopher Tola, and I want to thank y'all for having us here with y'all, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Thank you. Acino.
Yes. Item 18 is new business. We have none. Item 19 is unfinished business and no motions to reconsider or remove from a tabled position. We have none. Item 20 is persons wishing to address the council on special subject matters.
Hi, Mr. Barella.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 47 years. I want to recap a discussion from the Kenner Housing Authority meeting on November the 12th. As you all aware, or maybe some of you may not be aware, they're contracted, the Housing Authority has contracted to rehab or redevelop the Glenwood Housing Project. Now, nothing has gotten started yet because there's some details that still have to be worked out with HUD. But at that meeting, the two firms that's involved, that was given the contract, was scheduled to meet with Councilman Carroll on the 13th, at which point I interjected and said, wait a minute. I think the entire council, especially the two council at large, need to be informed as to what's going on here, because this is a big project, and not only that, they stated that it has to be rezoned. There has to be a zoning change. And I said that makes it even more important why the entire council and the administration should be up to date and informed on what's going on here. This is a city agency, okay? Now, the next thing I want to talk about, the mayor spoke earlier in the meeting about money coming for road work in the city. We got 5th Street in Rivertown, 5th and Daniel going west is in deplorable condition. I mean deplorable. The whole street is just nothing but potholes. Williams Boulevard, I understand, is a state highway. That's DOTD. It's in deplorable condition from Veterans Highway, between Veterans Highway and City Hall here. Dips, cracked, everything, man, and it's getting worse. It's so bad now that you could knock a wheel off your car if you hit it fast enough. So this needs to be looked at. This needs to be taken care of. Okay? Today, I want to say, marks the 56th anniversary of the 35th president being assassinated, John F. Kennedy, which is about maybe a half hour away from the exact time. So let us not forget what happened on this day, on November 22nd, 1963. Okay? Now, in closing, I too want to wish the citizens, all the citizens of Kenner, the people of Kenner, all our employees and all our departments, including the city council and the administration, a very happy and blessed Thanksgiving. Anybody got any comments, any questions? And one last point. If you all have been informed on what's going on with the Glenwood Apartments, the public housing units, then somebody can answer whether you've been informed or not, or whether y'all been kept up to date on what's going on over there. I'd like to know if anybody contacted anybody, informed anybody of this project.
Thank you, Mr. Marla.
Thank you.
Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you, young lady.
Yes, thank you. Councilman Seguir.
Thank you. Mr. Morrell, just to comment on a portion of your comment, the Williams Boulevard from I-10 to West Metairie is a state project that should be going out for bid. Huh?
With 2030.
I was going to get to that.
Okay.
It's part of us. It's going out for bid supposedly first part of the year. We've been working with the state now for some years to get it designed, and that is to remove that suicide lane in the middle and put a median with proper J-turns. As the mayor, I was getting ready to explain, that is part of the 2030 plan, and it's a state project, but the city does have some commitment for landscaping involved in it. So there is going to be improvements from the interstate. The whole Williams and Veterans interchange will be redesigned somewhat to accommodate better turning on Veterans going westbound and then turning north onto Williams. So it's coming, but be careful what you ask for. It's going to be a nightmare for a period of time on Williams.
It'd be worth it in the end, Councilman.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Mayor Zahn.
Just for clarification on one other thing, the Housing Authority is not a city agency. It is a state agency with oversight from the feds. So I would caution every elected official in the city of Kenner, be careful when you get involved in that. The sole role of the city, me, the mayor, is to appoint the board members only and remove them for cause. It is not something that we have oversight over. So if they have not discussed it with anybody, it's because they probably discussed it with the state. Now, when they start building something in the city of Kenner, obviously code will know about it in planning.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Zahn. Thank you, Mr. Morella.
Could I get a few minutes just to respond to that, Councilwoman?
Well, you only had 9 seconds left.
Okay, I can get it done. The reason I said that, Mayor, is because it requires a zoning change for this rehabilitation. And a zoning change has to come before this council, and they have to vote on it. And they stated that they was going to meet with Councilman Carroll on the 13th. So to say that you all can't get involved in this, and it is a city agency, because you appoint the board members, and the board members procure contracts and approve budgets. So it is, I disagree with you, it is a city agency.
Thank you, Mr. Morella.
Thank you.
Once again, it is not, I don't want the public to think that Mr. Morella is correct. It is not a city agency, and that's why I ended my comments with the city will be involved in the code and planning of the building. The state and the federal government handle this entity, not the city. So again, just for the record, and I'm sure the legal department would back me up, it is not a city agency.
Thank you, Mayor Zahn. Mr. Moby, would you, I think he's still here, I guess, or Miss Alessandro, Stacey Alessandro? I think he left. If you just state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes, ma'am.
Stacey Alessandro, 3309 Chateau Boulevard. First, I'd like to commend all the young people up here. It's fantastic that y'all are getting involved. I'm so happy to see y'all. Y'all are our future, so thank you. You're to be applauded for being up here. It's great. Quickly, I just wanted to touch on what Mr. Morella said. The mayor's right. it is not a city agency, the Housing Authority. However, he appoints every single member of the board, and they control, the board controls the entire Housing Authority, just so the public understands. I did go to that last Housing Authority meeting, and just so you guys know, I did get clarification that the Housing Authority gave back over $1 million to HUD. It was a grant that the city had received years ago, way before this board was on there, before this mayor controlled it, years ago. It was a grant that the public was supposed to receive if their houses, and this is what I was told, if their houses were damaged during a hurricane, it was to give them money to relocate, to live somewhere else where the house was being rehabilitated. They didn't spend a single penny of that money, and they gave back over $1 million to HUD without spending any of it. Moving on, regarding what I came up here and spoke about last, I'd like to know, these ordinances have to exist in their entirety when they're filed. It seems like you guys just got a copy of this, and as of 5 minutes ago, it was not on the city's website. So the public certainly didn't know. You guys are just getting a copy of it. I'd like to know from our council clerk, if she could please let me know, when was this, well, I don't know if she'll know when this was completed, but was it filed in its entirety with you? And if so, when was that?
Yes.
I'd like to have legal give an explanation on the filing of legislation.
Both by the council rules and by the open meetings law, all that is necessary is a heading. You have been provided with a heading which gives notice of what is going to occur. The ordinances were completed, being drafted past the deadline to be able to get it on for first reading. This is a fee increase which requires a 28-day layover, so it will be published in full when the council clerk publishes the agenda for it to be voted on. This is first reading. The council is taking no action, can take no action on this. So it is properly posted on the agenda and properly provided to you all, and will be properly noticed when it comes up for final vote.
Thank you, Mr. Rapier.
It does have
Ms.
to only
Alessandro.
be entitled when it's posted. It does only have to be entitled or summary, but the entire ordinance needs to exist at the time that it is filed. And I would like to know, has it been filed with the council clerk yet? You guys are approving something for first reading, which is where the public gets to know what this is all about. So then we have time to comment to you guys, ask questions. This is our chance to be informed. And if it hasn't even been written until after,
You're not approving anything.
after, y'all haven't even seen it till after y'all voted on it. I mean, I just watched them come around and give you guys a copy of it after I questioned it. That's not fair to the public.
Ms. Ellis,
I mean, I'm
thank you,
just
Ms.
pointing
Ellis.
this out to you guys, that's all.
Thank you. And we were provided copies of it today. So, and some of us were also provided copies. Obviously, you saw them. So we are aware of that.
Can we find
so.
out when was it filed with the clerk?
Yes.
The heading was filed with the clerk when it had to be. The city has complied with the filing requirements. You all have been provided a copy of it. I have provided a copy to the clerk. It does not have to be the full body provided to the clerk at the time we put the heading on for first reading. And I'd like to correct the record. You all voted on nothing on this today. It is simply read into the record to say, this is what you will be voting on potentially in 2 meetings from now. You all have the full body. It will be published by the council clerk. Anybody and to be of assistance here, if there's anybody else that would like a copy of it, my office will gladly provide any citizen with a copy of it. All I need to know is who to send it to.
It should have been removed from the agenda today. It wasn't ready. This is not fair to the public, but thank you.
Mr. Rapier, when it is, you said something about when it is on the agenda, it'll be attached. So that's going to be in 2 meetings.
That'll be in 2 meetings.
Okay. So at this point, the text that we received, it's not going to be released to the public until that time, or we can do it early, right?
Anybody who, as I said, it won't be published by the
By the
clerk
clerk.
until the agenda that it comes up on. But if anybody would like a copy of it, let my office know, and I'll be glad to send it to anybody who would like a copy of it.
Okay. Thank you. Councilman Seeger.
Well, I was in the same context, I certainly appreciate our city attorney giving us direction versus others who are not an attorney to tell us that this is legal. Now, is it perhaps not as acceptable to some people to say, oh, gee, we should have seen it today when it came up? Okay, I accept that. Now, how do we get this out now that we have it to where they can see it? So I'll ask the administration, what tools do we have to get this legislation out publicly so they can see it as of today forward?
We'll work to get it put up on the webpage, and anybody who wants to pick it up from there can get it from there.
Thank you,
Again,
because I know once it's there, there are others. I don't see Mr. Teff here, but he will certainly put it out and put it out for everybody that comes and sees his.
And again, anybody who wants it directly, if they'll let me know, I will email it or I'll mail them a hard copy, whichever works for them.
Appreciate that also. So for the public's sake that's listening, as we said, we will get this put up on the city's website. And then if you don't have a website, Mr. Morrell, you can call the city attorney and he'll give you a copy of it, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Segura. Mayor Zahn?
And for the comment that was made that, I don't know if you said it, Councilman McKinney, or Ms. Alessandro said it, that this is the first time you all have seen it. Councilman Brennan, Wilmot, McKinney, Hayes, and Segura, have I not had discussions with you all over the last 3 months about this issue? Okay, so it's not the first time y'all have seen it. It's not the first time you've heard about this issue, correct? If I'm wrong, anybody correct me. For Councilman Brannigan, who's not present, he would also agree with you all. Councilman Carroll also would agree that there's been text exchange between my CEO and himself on this issue. So I just want to clear up, I don't know if you said it or Ms. Alessandro said it. This is not the first time that this issue has popped up. This has been an ongoing issue for the last 3 months with this issue that's on the agenda, recycling and garbage, that we need to address. If I'm wrong, please correct me. Okay, so just for the record, this is an ongoing 3-month issue that we've been dealing with.
Councilman Wilmot?
Thank you. And I don't necessarily like the way this is unfolded here, but at the same time, I think this has been done before, if I'm not mistaken. So, our legal department has indicated that this is it's okay to do, but I understand sometimes the time delays and so forth, and them preparing this legislation, sometimes it does take time. I don't like it, but and unfortunately, sometimes it does happen. And also, you mentioned legal, that we do have it's a 2-meeting layover, if you will, because it's involving a fee. And if that's the case, it does give the public more time to view the documents that we're going to post online, I understand. So it's actually going to be another, month, roughly? So the time delay there is sufficient. Again, I don't like it being in blank, never do. I don't think anybody does. But if it's a work issue and trying to do the research to put it on and get it on timely, I get it. And I think we've done it once before, if I'm not mistaken, since I've been on this council, with some other legislation. I'm not sure which it was, but I think we did it once before. Anyway, so that's all I have to say, just clarifying. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Wilmot. Seeing no one else would like to speak, I have a motion to adjourn.